officially invite you to this second meeting in the row, focusing on hemp practices. A quick summary just to put the framework of this discussion about BBioNets is a thematic network funded by the European Commission, having two things in mind, two objectives: to promote and enhance the adoption of bio-based technologies in order to manage and process agriculture and forest biomass. And by bio-based technologies, we are referring to any technology or practice that uses not food feedstock, circularity principles, or both to deliver diverse products. So this is what the concept that governs our project. And of course, the second objective is to promote the work carried out by operational groups, which are small projects, practice-oriented projects involving primary producers. The approach that we follow throughout the project is involved in two levels. The first, at regional level, we have set up what we call forest and agricultural networks. The idea is to get in touch with primary producers and their advisors in order to understand their needs and open a communication channel with them and transfer the information that we gather. The project is implemented in 6 countries. You see it in the map. And from the beginning, we try to understand the current situation. So we created a roadmap for BBT implementation, starting from what are the needs, with what are the opportunities and the challenges, and then concluding to the most suited BBTs per region to be implemented in each region. Of course, after the collection of all this information, we are now in the process of knowledge transfer activities, ranging from info days to mentoring and to developing of several material fact sheets with information that is available for everyone. The second level, we went international, European, and we implemented the first round of these cross-fertilization meetings in order to share knowledge between regions. And the first round was more focusing on geographical characteristics, regions with common geographical and climatic and agricultural characteristics, while the second one is focusing on topics of common interest. And this present event is focusing on hemp. The agenda of the day, we have 3 speakers. Barry Gaslin from Chagas, the Irish Agriculture and Food Development Authority, will outline the work that is being carried out in Chagask. Magdalena Borzeka from the Institute of Soil Science and Plant Cultivation in Poland will present an innovative technical solution for a seeder, if I remember correctly, deriving from an operational group activity. And the third speaker, Hanna Gabrielova from Czech Republic, if I have correctly, is an industry cluster for the development of the hemp sector in Czech Republic. After these short presentations, there will be a panel discussion where my colleague Valentina will ask several questions to the speakers, and of course any one of you could just pick up, switch on the mic, or ask a question in the chat, so we can the speakers can respond. So if there is no other discussion or say question, no, there isn't. I would like to start with Barry. Have you joined us? No, sorry? No. Magdalena, can you please, we'll start with you.
Yes, I just realized
Mhm.
there is somebody in background.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen right now.
Mhm.
Can you tell me if you see my...
Yes, a beautiful lake and the forest. Now it's your presentation.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everybody. My name is Magdalena Bożenska. I'm representing Institute of Soil Science and Plant Cultivation, and I will tell you a little bit about the Roztocze hemp and innovation technical solution for a hemp cedar. This work and my speech is allowed by this consortium operational group. I did not work with, well, I've met them during the BioecoNets project. And the group was set up by the leader Mariusz Rybak, who was the farmer, supported by Marek Siuciak, Lublin Agricultural Advisory Center, Zbigniew Krzysiak and his team from University of Life Science in Lublin, and also Roltex, which is a technical and trade company which supported the purchase of sewing unit manufacture. The project was implemented under operational group. It lasted from November 23 till December 24. They had a budget around 1 million euro to run this project. It was supported by Rural Development Program 2014-2020, but also they had 30% of their own funds. Why hemp and why there is a need for operational groups? A bit of history of hemp in Poland. 50s, 80s, we were one of the largest hemp producers in Europe, mostly for fiber. In the 90s, due to the political changes of this country, there was a sharp decline, and really there was only a symbolic acreage of hemp being produced in Poland. But luckily, after 2010, we slowly started to return to this cultivation. It was due to some EU regulation, but also increasing the interest in biomass for energy. But I think the most important was the medical use of oils of this crop. So recently, we have between 2,000 and 5,000 hectares of this crop production, and it varies from year to year. Why this crop returns to Poland? It's because of its easy of cultivation, but also it can be powerful for diverse and convert land to organic farming, which we need to do quite immediately in Poland. It's very beneficial for soil. It's also allows the deep aeration, use little water, and guarantees good yields. Hemp can be easily incorporated into crop rotation, which is very important for many farmers. And it requires very small amount of pesticide, insecticide, and herbicides. So because Mariusz Rybak knew all these good things about hemp, he thought that about 10% of his farm crops could be replaced by hemp. He is based in eastern part of Poland, Roztocze region, very beautiful region of my country. He has there 120 hectares of land. He mostly grew sugar beet, rapeseed, and wheat. He is lucky and unlucky because his soil is very fertile. it's called Rędziny, is a type of soil that only exists in Poland. It's very fertile, but on the other hand, as you can see on a picture, there is quite a lot limestone. So it's kind of difficult for cultivation. This region has varying slope inclination, so it also causes some problems. And because in Poland this crop was not grown for many years, and especially in bigger areas, it was difficult to find the machinery to allow seeding. So the goals of this operation was to develop an innovative technical solution for seeder in hemp cultivation using no-till sowing to improve yields and seed quality, as well as protect soil, water, and climate. Right here you can see how this tractor sowing unit looked like. You see a large tractor because of the area and inclinations. To this tractor, it's attached seed drill, precision seeder, and fertilizer spreader. Those three machines are connected mechanically, electronically, hydraulically, and pneumatically, and it all is controlled by onboard computer, which looks a little like a spaceship, and the tractor driver has quite few things to look at during the seeding process. Also, these all modules allow you to do a field mapping, where you can create yield potential map and develop fertilizer application map based on them. What was the innovative solution that needed to be done to a seeder? It was mostly the use of reinforced cultures and improved seed incorporation efficiency. As you saw, those soils are quite difficult, and most of those cultures were breaking down quite simply in those fields. So the technical group of the project did design a new shape of them, tried and used different type of metal to build those cultures, and now they came out with the one visible on the pictures, which was tested, and it came out that can work quite easily in this difficult terrain. There was also need to adjust the sowing depth of seeds and to adapt to the specific soil conditions. And also there was design simultaneous application of mineral fertilizer and seeds. And they also did adjustment of seeds quality and fertilizer application rates to verify soil conditions via this specific unique control system. And they came out with this kind of looking field. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact me. If I'm not able to answer some of your questions, I will direct them to a group of this operational group, and I can return with a perfect answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magdalena. Indeed, if there is any question now or during the panel or via email, you will have the contact details of the speakers. Next one, Barry, I think you joined.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning.
So, are you ready to share your or not?
Yes, yes. I'll share my presentation here with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Share it from your side so you can control the slides.
You can tell me if you see that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Perfect.
You can see that okay now, yeah? Everything okay?
Yeah, yeah. We
Okay.
see it perfectly.
Okay.
Let's
So
continue.
good morning, folks. Sorry I'm a bit late. I had a little mishap this morning that caused me to be a bit late logging on, so apologies for that. So Barry Castlin is my name. So I'm Energy and Rural Development Specialist with Teagasc. I'm based in Longford, was based at the Research Centre in Oak Park in Carlow for many years. And now I work as a specialist on renewable energy. So providing advice to farmers on renewable energy, but also on the area of rural development. So it's farm diversification and alternative enterprises on the farm. Hemp was, I suppose, the history of hemp in Teagasc goes back quite a bit of time. Yeah. Sorry, just get my presentation up there now. Yeah, so the history of hemp goes back a fair bit of time in Teagasc. So Teagasc was preceded by an organisation called An Fóras Talúntas, which is formed in the late 1950s. And from very early on in the history of An Fóras Talúntas, people were interested in the potential of hemp. And they have 3 different areas of research within that organisation at the time. And the first was conducted by Michael Nealon, and Michael was very interested in using the fibre hemp for paper and textile production, and that was back in the 1960s. And so the research has gone on quite some bit of time. And the second area was covered by a researcher called Jim Crowley. He was interested in hemp as medium density fiberboard material, or MDF for construction. And more recently then we had Dr. John Finnan, our late colleague there. He was very interested in the research of hemp as an energy crop. And I suppose with my background in renewable energy, that's where I got interested in hemp as well, more from the renewable energy perspective of burning the crop, which is we now know is quite wasteful because of all the other wonderful things you can do with this crop. And all this research was geared towards the agronomy of the crop, really, about growing it, seeing what soil types it suited. But although there were different uses of hemp in mind at the time as well. Sorry, I just have a bit of an issue with my computer here at the moment, but sorry now. So most of Michael's work was on the agronomy, but his work went on a little bit further than that because he was interested in the use of hemp for paper production and fibre production. And he went on after the harvest to look at the suitability of hemp, grown in Ireland for both paper manufacturing and for textile production as well. And what Michael found was that the quality of the fibre produced from the hemp in Ireland, it was suitable for textile production. And he also found that the paper making quality, of which was unretted hemp stalks, cut and then it was pulped, that the paper quality of that type of hemp was comparable to that of wood fibres. And in the 1990s, our researcher Jim Crowley, he was interested in the cultivation of hemp as medium density fiberboard. And again, with all our research, Jim was mainly interested in the agronomy of the crop. And from the time of the interval between Michael Nealon's research and Jim's research, there had been breeding of hemp and different varieties going on there at that time. And Jim was very interested in looking at varieties that were available at that particular time. So he spent did quite a bit of work, we say, on the potential of different varieties and maybe their yield potential. He found that the highest yield could be achieved from late maturing varieties, and most of these varieties are still available today. And that's just a function of the length of their growing season. So the earlier crops, they produce a flower and they stop growing early, and there's less radiation, and so that's been intercepted by the crop between sowing and flowering. So as a result, their yields were lower. So the production of fiber hemp is better from the late maturing varieties. In terms of the seeding rate, Jim was also interested in that, and as far as the production of biomass and fiber was concerned, he found that you could not increase the yield of the crop by pushing up the seed rates. You can do that with some crops, but not with hemp. So the optimum rate of seed was 30 kilograms per hectare of seed, and that's a reasonable result, from an economic perspective, because the seed is one of the highest input costs associated with hemp production. So for certain types of fiber quality, it may be necessary to increase the seeding rates, but if it's just producing biomass, the seeding rate of 30 kilograms per hectare was adequate. And in terms of the sowing date, Jim was also interested in sowing late. He was interested in the sowing date on yields, and he sowed crops at various sowing dates. So from early April to mid-May, that was the optimal time. After that, you got gradual reduced yields, and the reason for that is that the crops flower at the same time because of their response to the photo period. And the later they're sown, the less radiation they're going to absorb, and the lesser the yields they're going to produce. So we've sown hemp as early as March, but it's not something we'd recommend because hemp does have frost sensitivities. Not that we get a lot of frost in Ireland, we don't get a lot, but it's very sensitive to frost. It's about similar sensitivities to that of sugar beet, and sugar beet growing guidelines are a good indication of when hemp can be sown in this country, I think in any country. So generally speaking, our approach is to get ready for, to go for early April hemp, and to get good conditions, because it's a crop that cannot be mucked in either. So you have to wait for good conditions. And John Finnan's work then looked at hemp as an energy crop. So in 2008, there was a lot of interest in the use of hemp as an energy crop. And most of that enthusiasm.
Excuse me, Barry.
Yeah.
Are you changing your slides?
Yes. They're not moving, no?
Sorry, no. Just notice that it's not. It's still, I think, in the first one.
Yeah. I'm working off a single screen here. This is the problem. So I can't.
Well, just go to the presentation, the slide that you are referring now.
Can you see this now? Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's changing.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll just go on there. So I think I covered sowing date there, and then as a fertilizer. So then just on the area of as an energy crop, in 2008 there was an awful lot of interest in the use of hemp as an energy crop in Ireland, and most of that enthusiasm was the production of perennial energy crops such as willow and miscanthus, and the idea was that we would be mixing those crops up together and producing pellets of a mixture of hemp, miscanthus or willow, and to see what was the optimized pellet and quantity of material into a pellet. People were also interested in the production of annual energy as a production of perennial crop. It doesn't suit everyone to grow an energy crop that are perennial, such as willow and miscanthus, whereas your hemp is an annual crop, and it might suit some tillage farmers. Our arable farmers here in Ireland, they were very interested in hemp as a rotation crop. So in 2008, there was about 150 hectares of hemp grown by farmers for energy purposes. We'd lost the sugar beet industry back in 2006, and they're very interested in hemp as a break crop because the sugar beet crop was lost. And this was seen as an opportunity to put in a good break crop into arable rotation systems. Hemp is an excellent break crop. It grows very tall. It suppresses the weeds. So it means that there's less weeds for the succeeding crops, and it drops its leaves to the soil, and that means that the nutrient returns back to the soil, and it grows by a nice thick rhizome, which breaks up the soil, and it reduces the compaction effects, and it improves the overall structure of the soil. So we were interested in hemp as both an energy crop and as a break crop. So in terms of weeds and pests and diseases, like just to mention that Michael Nealon and Jim Crowley and John Finnan, they were all successful in growing the crop without the use of any herbicides or fungicides or pesticides. So broadleaf weed control can be a problem, but what we found is that once we established the crop in good conditions and it got to this stage, it effectively smothered out any of the weeds. Even quite challenging weeds like volunteer potatoes, and this contributes to its value as a break crop. Most years we didn't see any diseases associated with the crop at all, and in one particular year, it was a wet year. We did see some issues with botrytis and sclerotinia, but in a site where there was a history of oilseed rape production, this was as much related to the previous crop in history of the site and the very wet year. So that was the real problem for that disease. So we didn't encounter any insect problems. So from the point of view as an energy crop, these are all benefits, and we didn't need to spend money on inputs. And that's not to say it wouldn't be the case if we mass produced the crop, but it's a good starting point. Sorry, I see my sign. I'm not aligned. And sorry, this is my problem here. I've only one screen and I can't see what's on the other screen. So I think I'm back here again now. So we were also interested in what sort of nutrients that the crops were responsive to, and one of the first nutrients that we were interested in was potassium. Crops that grow very tall, they often have a higher requirement for potassium. And we found that, sure enough, hemp crops will take up a lot of potassium if they're given it. But as far as the response to potassium fertilization, there are results of 3 different varieties of hemp grown on the soil P1 index, that's the lowest index of potassium, and one we usually ask people to avoid. But we found that even though we applied quite a lot of potassium to these sites, that the plants did not respond well to the yield, which meant that the crop would do quite well, when it's grown on an exhausted soil without potassium nutrient. So it wasn't absolutely essential. The hemp response to nitrogen, we also were interested in hemp's response to nitrogen, and so as an energy crop, nitrogen is a very expensive element in terms of the economics and in terms of greenhouse gas emissions as well. So in nitrogen index 1 soils, we found that was what the optimum was. We were also interested in the response to nutrient without any nitrogen, and we looked at sites on index 1 sites, and the economic optimum was somewhere between 100 and 120 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, and that reduces with the availability of in the soil nitrogen, which is a function of the growing history of the soil, or the cropping history of the soil, I should say. And we also were interested in seeing the effects of the application of split applications of nitrogen, either by applying it at sowing, and we found that it didn't really matter when the nitrogen was applied, so long as the crop got sufficient nitrogen when the crop was a foot or a foot and a half in height. And the results of the nutrient trials have been incorporated into nutrient advice as well. So we've incorporated them into the Teagasc Green Book, which can be found on the Teagasc website. So that's where we describe the nutrient advice for different crops, for barley, wheat, all the different crops, grassland, but hemp is included in that as well. So I suppose, how did it compare to other energy crops, which farmers were cultivating? Like really hemp stood out very well if you compare it to perennial energy crops like willow and miscanthus. An annual crop does not sequester quite as much as a perennial crop. The net greenhouse gas emissions of hemp is slightly lower when you're growing it on an arable soil. So hemp compared really favorably to annual crops such as oilseed rape or sugar beet. But when you looked at grassland, hemp compared really favorably to that of willow and miscanthus. So even though a lot of the work was associated with the techniques of harvesting hemp, we were also interested in how hemp dries and the machinery used for harvesting it. It's not necessarily a difficult crop to harvest, but it can be a very difficult crop to harvest if you choose the wrong machinery. We were interested in how hemp dries after it's cut and what's available to harvest it. That's the results of several years of research on drying as well. So a lot of drying occurred even though the weather was quite wet. So even under very wet conditions, good drying can be achieved from hemp. So let's move on from there. Yeah, so I think we looked at a wide range of machinery. One of the first things we looked at was mowing. And we quickly found that mowers with conditioners were a non-runner. So it doesn't work at all with a 5-foot drum mower, a rotary mower. Some of you might know it as that. And it often depends on the distance between the drums. So a 7-foot drum mower worked better. Disc mowers without any conditioners, they worked well. Finger bar mowers, that's the reciprocating type mower that goes over and back. They work quite well, but the problem with finger bar mowers is that they're quite slow. So every now and again, when pieces of hemp they get stuck between the fingers and the knife or the clutch can kick out. And generally speaking, finger bar mowers worked well. And what we found is that when hemp was cut into a number of pieces, it aided the drying process and it added to the then baling what we done at the end of the day. So it was easier to bale it as well. So machinery like this has been developed on the continent. So many of you will be quite familiar with this in Poland and many other countries in Germany. It's been developed over the last 10, 20 years, and it cuts it into tiers, and that's driven by a PTO pneumatically. So for the raking, we found that hay rakers worked well, and it left the hemp in nice rows. The problem with baling is eliminated by cutting it into smaller pieces. So if it was cut down as one length of straw, it gave problems with some balers, like the chrome baler, where most of the day could be spent pulling it out at the back of the baler, and there was no issues with the Lely baler. So I suppose just to sum up, one of our experience of hemp is that it grows quite well with modest fertilizer requirements. There was no issues with pests. There was no reason to believe that this crop, it could not evolve. Why pests couldn't evolve when you have widespread use of the crop. But often crops that are introduced eventually become susceptible to pests and diseases. So in our current environment, where there's a reducing basket of chemistry to combat the pests and the diseases, and in addition to there's an increasing resistance to the use of pesticides and fungicides, it's an important starting point that we're able to grow these crops in the absence of such pesticides and herbicides. So if markets are to develop further, this could be quite an important crop in Irish agriculture. I just wanted to, we've run a number of conferences here in Ireland on the knowledge transfer side, and we're generally trying to get the information across to farmers what the opportunities are. There's a lot of people in Ireland interested in developing an industry around hemp. Some people have an interest in the area of CBD. Some people have an interest in fibers. Some other people have an interest in, the food side. so like it's a very versatile crop, and it's an environmentally friendly crop, and it's suitable for Irish conditions. And it's legally classified as industrial hemp due to its low THC content, and it can be grown under license here in Ireland as well. And it does thrive in our climate. It requires very low amounts of fertilizer and pesticides. It's a vigorous crop too. It helps suppress weeds, and that's why, as I mentioned, it makes a really excellent break crop. Any of the events that we've run, the conferences that we've run on hemp, they've had very high turnouts, very, very big interested. And I think the crop aligns very well with the farm to fork targets, for reduced chemical use, enhanced sustainability in agriculture. So I think hemp it's a game changer for Irish farming, or it could be a game changer for Irish farming. It's because being fast grown, low input, naturally suppressing the weeds, and it does fit perfectly into crop rotations. So it helps farmers reduce their chemical use and build healthier soils. Um, you know, it offers farmers a chance to diversify away from traditional crops and to access emerging markets in food, fiber, industrial applications. Its rapid growth and its ability to lock away carbon makes it very attractive for meeting climate targets. Hemp fiber and shiv, they're increasingly they're being used in biocomposites for cars and for energy efficient building materials such as hempcrete, which can outperform concrete on sustainability metrics. So this positions hemp, as a key player there in the bioeconomy and the transition to low carbon materials. So it offers farmers a new income stream and while tackling climate change. So that makes it quite interesting from a bioeconomy perspective. And so through biorefining, a single crop can deliver fibers for materials, for it can produce oil and protein for food, shiv for construction or for energy. And there's an increase in consumer and industry demand for sustainable plant-based materials. And the health benefits of hemp seed products and their application in animal feed it can broaden the market opportunities. So your development processing infrastructure that will be necessary to provide valuable rural employment and support regional economies. So I suppose despite its potential, hemp has a lot of challenges here in Ireland and probably across Europe as well. The strict regulatory limits on the use of hemp flower, which is the main source of high-value CBD. You have the lack of processing infrastructure. We don't have any decortification plants, so it makes it hard for farmers to access markets for fiber or shiv. So if you're trying to achieve scale, we really need to be going down a route like a cooperative type route, and cooperatives have worked very well in our dairy industry in the past. So the farmers understand that concept. So maybe that's the type of collaboration that's needed to make it a business in the future and commercial business in the future. I think certification and standards are needed to unlock the construction markets. I think more research is also needed to support the agronomy, seed supply, and the development of robust domestic and export markets. I think the opportunities that hemp presents, policy and research efforts really need to focus on modernizing the regulatory framework, particularly around CBD and THC thresholds, to align it with international best practice. Investment, I mentioned it there, in regional processing infrastructure. That's so important to give confidence to anybody to grow the crop, that they know that there's a way of getting the crop processed afterwards, and that there's an outlet or a market for it. Support maybe for cooperatives and the development of product standards, that's going to be key here as well. I think continued research as well into the crop, the agronomy, new varieties, processing technologies, and market development. I think that's vital for integrating hemp into the Irish bioeconomy and ensuring the long-term success of the sector. So I think you'll see probably policy reform, targeted research, strategic investment. That's going to be the crucial area to integrate hemp into the Irish bioeconomy, and it'll support farmers and create jobs as well. So that's all I have there at the moment. So if you have any questions, I will do that. Sorry, my slides are I'm not able to see everything here at the moment. I had an issue this morning with my PC, so I'm working off somebody else's PC here.
So thank you very much, Barry. I think more or less the challenge is common. Of course, then it's how its country deals with it and its ecosystem deals with it. Well, thank you very much. And now for the third speaker, Hanan, can you please take over?
Yes. Yes, I will share my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes.
I put it in the full screen.
Okay.
Screen. Do full screen, please. Full screen, no. Now, yes. So thank you for your invitation. I'm Hanna Gabrielova from Czech Hemp Cluster, which is a cluster working on the field of hemp and also cannabis as a medicine. But my expertise is in cultivation of industrial hemp last 25 years. So I'm going to present the potential of industrial hemp in the bioeconomy, as our cluster is also member of the platform for the bioeconomy and the BioEast Hub, which is a member of your consortium. So yeah, so this is how I get here. I'm going to mention a little bit like the broader perspective of hemp on the bioeconomy and my view on potential development. Hemp in the EU, it's not new. It's already been going like last 30 years. The development since there been registered the EU varieties with low THC. But it's been a while when EU was like able to put it in some strategy documents. So now we have this EU bioeconomy strategy, which since last November, where hemp is mentioned as a recognized source for materials, especially like biomaterials, especially for building and textile, because that's the biggest potential for hemp from the bioeconomic perspective. For that, as my colleague before mentioned, we will need the standards for sure, and we will need some policy support for scaling. What's already happening, because we have a lot of like EU calls where we can apply project for hemp scaling, I would say. But there will be probably interesting to have some cap support from like the subsidy when like EU asking to do more feedstock. So we will have some support for growing it as well, which is not yet done. Nowadays are a lot of investments driven by the carbon market. So, but as a annual crop, hemp has not yet reached the stage of being recognized as a carbon credit from hemp, because it's kind of complicated on this like voluntary carbon market, but there are like few companies working on that. What I believe it will come in the future more in the recognition. And from my perspective, I see like big opportunity in creating the regional cooperation clusters and hubs, which will be like supporting the local activities and helping the communication and in interactive collaboration on hemp development from the local perspective, because that's the main impact, I believe, for hemp as a crop. Yeah, hemp economic reality. I will go through that like very quickly, because my colleagues, previous colleagues, was talking about that. I would like to mention that hemp, it's new crop for hemp now, but it not been always new. It been here in 1940. We've been growing 400,000 hectares in Europe. So there is some tradition where we can go. Today we have around like 43,000 hectares. So we have still work to do on that. And there is a lack of experience with hemp farming. Even it's not that complicated. The most complication for farmers, it's not in farming it, it's in harvesting it and where to look for offtake. I would like to mention that the hemp can be grown also only for seeds, which can be harvested by the regular combines. So it's a one-way opportunity for the farmers to start immediately, even they don't have the special machinery for stem. But there is a lot of possible demand from the market for the seeds. So there is high demand for hemp seeds on the European market. So I believe farmers can start right now. Yeah, so I think that's for this slide. The products and value streams, it been also mentioned, but yeah, there are these like three biggest: stem, which has fiber and hurt, around 50-55% hurt, 30% fiber. There is a lot of dust when it's like decorticated and produce these products from these decortication lines. So it's kind of product which can be used for pressing into like briquettes or pellets. Even have like high dust content, but I believe it can be somehow also researched in the future. And from the food, there is besides of food, there is also like big demand for hemp seeds in the feed, and also it's used in the cosmetic. And on the picture, you can see the boards, the hemp oil, and also the bags, which is like produced from hemp biocomposite. I would like to just show a few pictures on the construction sector hemp developments, because it's different ways and all are developed right now in Europe. Different application, prefabricated panels, acoustic panels, this kind of like frame filling of hempcrete or hemp line based like mix, or it can be also applied by the spring. And the advantage of the construction made from hemp lime product, or use insulation from hemp fiber, it's that creates like healthy indoor climate, because nowadays the houses which are built from concrete or from I would say synthetic or oil-based products are not that suitable for living. Like hemp, I would say hemp will really create like very healthy, very highly energetic, efficient houses, which is also nowadays the demand of the people in Europe. I would like to mention a little bit about the wood sector construction, because it goes very well with the hemp, and this is the proof that the bio-based materials demand in construction sector, it's already happening, and hemp can go with that, because usually for hemp lime construction, it's used wood. So there is already hemp used in wood-based construction, but not on the big scale. But I believe with the prefabricated panels or with the bricks, we can scale up the demand quite quickly. But it only requires the investment, because this machine for the cortications and prefabrication of some panels or bricks are quite costly. For your idea, the investment in one decortication line, it's around the 10 or 20 million euro. So, and it's operation for like 3,000 or 6,000 hectares area of cultivation, the hemp. So to be able to fulfill the demand, we need to really start discussion with the private sector for investments, basically, because without that, the farmers will hardly start to grow it, because they don't have the offtake besides of the hemp seeds. So, and here it's a little graphic that like the market trend, it's the wood-based construction, but we can help with the hemp, the diversification. We can create like hemp wood-based construction systems, which will support this transition of construction sector be more low carbon or more bio-based. Besides of construction, there is a lot of like happening in the non-woven geotextile landscaping or the insulation. Biocomposites are not only in automotive, which kind of started this like new modern cultivation of industrial hemp, because they created the demand in 90s from the automotive sector for fiber supply. But nowadays the hemp is used also in the furniture, in the sports, as I mentioned, by the bike, but there are also ski mats or like surfboards or skateboards, and also the interiors. Not only for car interiors, but I believe also hotels who are like trying to be or like want to be sustainable or like nature friendly, or also clients friendly, or furniture are made nowadays from hemp. What is the economic value of the hemp? I think it's three different chapters. One, it's a farm level, where like the farm gets well paid when there is a nearby around the area of 150 kilometers, ideally, some offtake partner for the straw. They can make money on the straw or on the seeds as well if they do dual crop. So one, it's like the economic support for the farmers. There is another economy potential for processing, setting up the processing plants, because they start to supporting the farmers, but also supporting the industry, and then they also create the jobs. So it's another kind of like a pilot. And the third level can be the systematic level, so we can start work with these ESG and policy instruments for getting the advantage of that development. So I would like to mention that hemp value is in the system economics, not in the commodity economics. So basically, we need to look on the hemp as a system, not only as a crop or commodity. The bottlenecks for scaling, as I mentioned, the price of the decortication line, also the support for the farmers, it's missing, and also that will be like good to have some support for harvesting equipment, because it's also quite costly for the farmers. We can also create some research on variation of the raw material. I believe if we create like the certification and standardization for all those material, so people who entering our market will understand the quality which is trade or which is expected to be trade. It will also help to support this development. And nowadays we have the chicken egg problem because farmers want to grow it, but there are no processors, and processors are afraid to invest because they don't have connection with the farmers, so they don't know how to find them. So I believe it needs to come from the market. So basically, find where is the demand, build the processing line, and then bring the farmers in, because otherwise it will be difficult. And I would like to present a few models which are already working. So the basic one, it's got contracting farmers with the processors. That's a simple one. Just in the area of the 150 kilometer, the processor need to find farmers, contract them. They will bring him the material. He will process it. But it's difficult because once the different crops get a higher value, maybe he lose the farmers. There is not like close relationship with the farmers and the off-takers. So can be tricky. So better it's a corporate. Better can be vertical integration when the processor grows also the crop and manage everything. But that can be also very challenging, because manage farming, manage processing, manage selling the product, even if you do not only fiber and or chives, but you do some final product, can be very challenging because it's different stages of knowledge what you need to handle. So best probably it's from my experience, and it's already working 60 years in France. So I believe it's a good one to present. It's the model of La Chanvrière, the biggest producer of industrial hemp in the world. They produce hemp on 13,000 hectares with support of 1,700 farmers. And it's a cooperative, so each farmer has a little share in this processing line, and they work together on everything. So every farmer has like one vote, and they have to be listen. It's a very good model. In some countries can work better, in some countries less. In Czech Republic, we don't have good experience with cooperatives from our communism regime, so it's difficult, but in France works very well, so we should get inspired by that.
And sorry to interrupt you. Can you please speed up?
Yeah. Go on.
Okay,
No, I'm almost done.
Perfect.
The important is also to create the technology hub which will support the quality or the diversity of the product. The FRD project in France can be also something what you can look at it to get inspired. Maybe you want to create something similar to that in your country. It's working very well, supporting the companies. Here is just list of the projects which are important to mention, or I would like to mention. So you can look at them. It's kind of like the entry fee to the hemp world and the topic what we're mentioning today. And here are some conclusions. You can read them, or I can share them later. So basically, the hemp is a multi-stream bioeconomy platform for different materials. The potential depends on the integrated value chains. So I think that's the main topic what we need to work on. The coordination action between agriculture, industry, and research, it's the key, and there we need to also get support from the governments, and we have the good support from the EU already by this bioeconomy strategy. So I believe for the future project we should use it. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Hannah. It's quite interesting, and I mean, you addressed several aspects of the sector. Thank you very much. Now we completed the presentations, and we will join the panel discussion. But before doing so, a group photo would be nice. So if those who are dressed and well, smiling, please switch on the camera. Those who had it switched off, they're not smiling, eh? Okay. Daphne.
I'm taking the screenshot, but I see some people are still opening their cameras. So smile now. Okay, I got it.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Now, Valentina, you were smiling, so now it's your turn. Please.
Thank you very much, Jakobs. Thank you. Okay, before we move to the questions we have prepared to our speakers, I would like to thank all three speakers for these very insightful and complimentary presentations. And I would like to say that we just heard three different but clearly connected perspectives of industrial hemp. Magdalena focused on technical innovation, presenting a concrete solution that tackles one of the key challenges in hemp cultivation, precision sowing and soil protection. Barry showed us how hemp performs in real arid farming conditions, highlighting agronomy, yields, and the practical challenges farmers face on the ground. And finally, Hannah zoomed out to the system level, showing how hemp fits into broader value chains, markets, and policy frameworks, especially in constructions and bio-based materials. And I would now like to bring these perspectives together and explore what they mean in practice for farmers, for value chains, and for scaling hemp across regions. Magdalena, I would like to start with you since you are the first speaker. And with the technological and farming practice perspective, and based on the work you presented, and what would you say are the most important conclusions from previous research on strip-till hemp sowing?
Well, the operational group funding have showed that this strip-till sowing is feasible, and those procedures are very comparable and emergent and plant development to traditional methods. But as you all know, the strip-till minimize the soil disturbance, which is very important for soil, for environment. And this technology was tested on several types of soils, and it's very well working on the medium and a little bit heavier soils. So we found that it is very practical, and there are other aspects that proves that this technology should be promoted for the hemp cultivation.
Thank you very much. And I will move on to the second question. And what, from a practical farming perspective, can strip-till technology actually reduce the cost of hemp cultivation compared to a more traditional methods?
Yes, it can a lot reduce the cost. As you saw, this tractor, even if it's bigger than an ordinary tractor, it was developed to work with 3 machinery at the same time. So it reduced the cost of fuel due to doing 3 different moves at the same time, for example. Plus, strip-till reduce the need for cultivation of soil. So for sure, this method it's much cheaper and more efficient for farmers.
And the final one question, what soil conditions and organizational factors need to be in place for strip till hemp cultivation to be profitable and attractive for farmers?
Well, for sure, it is important to add and use this type of cultivation in specific types of soil, because in this our example we had to adapt a lot the machinery to be stronger, to be more to allow us to use this seeder at those kind of type of soil. So the machine, it is important that you make sure you use it on the proper soil. There is a need for proper moisture for the sowing period and preparation for cultivation. So mostly it is needed to know first the local conditions and to include in a correct way the crop rotation and to make sure that the machinery is available.
Thank you very much, Magdalena. Iacovos, if there are no any questions in the chat for Magdalena, I would like to turn to Barry and the Irish perspective.
Yes, please proceed. I don't see anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry.
Hello.
Thank you, Magdalena. Barry,
Well,
I would like...
Actually, Valentina, before you start with Barry, there is already a question for Barry. So please proceed, and then someone was fast. Okay, so please proceed with what you have in mind, and then there's a question for Barry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ireland theory has strong potential for hemp value chains, as we see in the presentation. And from your perspective, what are the next concrete steps needed to move from potential to real implementation?
Yeah, I suppose like there's no viable market there at the moment for hemp here in Ireland at the moment. There's a number of things that's holding it back. So we know it grows. We know the crop grows very well in Irish conditions. We don't have any processing facilities. So there's a lot of, I think, regulatory reform needed, permit controls to get harvesting equipment in there, to process the hemp, using the flowers, but that may have trace THC levels. And, I know in some countries there's a tolerance level of THC levels up to 0.3%. So I just think we need to be brought up to our national laws need to be brought in line with EU norms. And maybe every country isn't the same in that regard, but that would be a help in terms of giving confidence on that side of things, on the food side of things. Investment in processing infrastructure, such as decortification facilities, that's going to be essential, to add value locally and to develop fiber markets. I think support for cooperative type models and maybe contract farming, that would help achieve the scale that's necessary for economic viability, because it has to be scalable. You can have small artisan cottage industry producers, but that won't lead to a large scale industry where you'll have the big construction companies of this world reaching out saying, this is something we can work with. There needs to be, I suppose, a real attempt towards commercialization of it. So I suppose developing clear product standards, certifications, especially for construction materials, that would boost market acceptance. I think continued public and private research into the agronomy, the seed breeding, processing technologies, and market development. That's really what's required to, I suppose, underpin a sustainable sectoral growth within this area. I think the main barriers are legislation under the Misuse of Drugs Act here in Ireland. it is a major barrier towards the development of the crop. But farmers can still grow it, but they can't process it even for fiber at the moment. So there's a real acceptance that we can grow this crop, but in terms of processing it afterwards, that's the challenge.
Thank you, Barry. I will continue to the next question for you. And I would like to ask you, when it comes to processing hemp in Ireland, what do you think would be more appropriate? Small on-farm solutions on centralized processing facilities? And what would help farmers to feel confident enough to commit to one model or to the other?
Yeah, well, I suppose I probably answered that in the previous question, in that I think a cooperative type structure would give confidence. Farmers want to have trust. Many of them have grown crops in the past and have been disappointed in terms of not having a market outlet for it. So farmers like structures. They like to bring their milk to the cooperative and get a price per litre for their milk. They bring their beef to the market and they get a price per kilogram or for their animals in the marts. They bring their crops to the market and they get a price per tonne for their barley, their wheat, their oats. And I think those kind of structures are going to be very, very important around hemp as well, that you get a guaranteed price depending on a certain quality standard of material that's delivered into the processor. So, you know, the processing is a major market limitation. You know, few processors, there's no processing operation in Ireland. And you have some operating on small scales and that's focusing on limited end uses, maybe juice or seed. But you know, the market for hemp or CBD, that area is grown, but it's really untapped due to maybe drying challenges, storage challenges. It could be much bigger. And you know, we see all the economic opportunities that are there in terms of, you know, carbon farming. You know, hemp absorbs maybe 10 tons of CO2 per hectare, depending on the crop, depending on the soil. You know, there's opportunities with fiber processing. You know, your modern decorticators, they can, you know, extract fiber without the traditional wet retting process. So it's reducing costs and weather-related risks. You have the hempcrete. You know, this is you know, low impact, it's breathable, biocomposite building material. It has excellent thermal properties. You know, again, certification is needed here. If we want engineers who are coming out of college, they're going to build houses, build apartments in our cities in the future using hempcrete. We need to have those standards in place that they're confident in using it. We need it written into, you know, national building laws and into legislation about building with hempcrete, and that there's a better understanding of it. I think there's a lack of education in this whole area. On the food, you know, on the whole area of food and nutrition, you know, hemp seed is rich in healthy oils and proteins. You know, there's a growing demand there. It's really driven by environmental and health trends. So there's an open door there that can be pushed. But that's really, you know, the opportunity is there. Cosmetics, there's you know, hemp seed oil it's increasingly used in personal care products. Animal bedding, there's, you know, for the shiv, that's very highly absorbent, and it's an opportunity to use it for bedding small animals, but also large animals. You know, and it's an antibacterial alternative to straw. And of course, we know all about the cannabinoids as well, the CBD. And so there's potential there for health benefits as well. So I know here in Ireland, for example, the current legislation limits CBD extraction and sales, so that hinders market development. So I think our regulatory position here, speaking from an Irish perspective, is holding back the development of this industry. While farmers can grow the crop as well, they can't process it. So they can grow fiber varieties, for example, but getting it processed is a challenge because we don't have any decortification plants. But I think there's a willingness to grow the crop here in Ireland. We don't have a very large arable area of ground. We're mostly grass based in Ireland. We don't have a large tillage area or arable area we have about maybe 300,000 hectares of arable area out of 4.5 million hectares of utilizable agricultural area. So it's a small area of ground that we plough on an annual basis. So integrating it into tillage can be difficult because it's a small area. But those farmers would grow. They would like a rotational crop. We don't have sugar beet anymore. Oilseed rape is a tricky crop to grow. It's a good break crop as well, but it's a tricky crop to grow. So hemp is something that will be welcomed into Irish arable systems if there was the market outlet.
Thank you very, very much, Barry. Jacobus, I think some questions have already came in the chat, but should I move on?
First of all, the question to Barry. Do you think oversight should be through DAF? I think this is the Irish ministry, rather than. Can you please open the chat, because these acronyms for me.
Okay, I am limited here what I can do. Let's see.
Then may I ask Sian or Ali to just open the mic and.
Yeah, no problem. So my question for Barry, and thanks everyone for organizing the call. So Barry, do you think oversight should be through DAFM rather than HPRA? And would a time-bound multi-agency task force be necessary for licensing, enforcement, clarity, etc.? Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. So at the moment in Ireland, because I know we have a very international audience here, it's regulated by the HPRA, so it's the Health Product Regulatory Authority. So they grant the licenses to farmers to grow the crop. And many people are of the view that it shouldn't be that way, that it should be under our Ministry of Agriculture. And yeah, possibly it's a fair question to ask, yeah, because it might simplify it. But you know, I can also see the role for the HPRA in this as well. So I just can't give a definitive answer. I know that maybe a combined approach between both government departments could work best, Cian. But I understand the frustration for some people that sometimes they have to deal with agriculture as well as HPRA. So maybe one, I don't really want to comment on it, to be honest with you, because that's quite a political question.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Valentina, if you have no other questions for Barry. Okay, then a question for Magdalena. Is everything okay with, I see that you answered the questions. So is there any still unanswered, Sin or Vita Maria? Is everything clear?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
Perfect.
The question in relation to the soil organic matter, I wonder if Magdalena has any comments to make, please.
I did write it, but we did not look for it, because this was not aim of our work. I bet there are different studies in Poland where they look for it. But for it was important to make sure that the machinery that we want to work at those specific fields, it's strong enough to perform seeding, fertilization at the same time. So I do not have results at which some level it is the best to grow hemp. Sorry.
Lovely. Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
I just see there, I didn't answer Cian's question fully there, Chairman. He also asked about the 1 year versus a longer term. So in Ireland, you get a license, it's just for 1 year. And I know that a lot of in industry are saying that maybe extending the hemp cultivation licenses from the current single season and many are saying to a 5-year term, that would give farmers and investors maybe the needed security to encourage investment in processing equipment and reducing administrative burdens on growers and on investors as well. So hopefully that answers that question as well.
Okay, then Valentina, any question for Hannah?
Yes, I would like to turn to Hannah now, and I would like to bring the discussion to a broader value chains and market level. I would like to ask you, Hannah, based on the value chains model you presented, which approach do you see as the most feasible of scaling industrial hemp in Central Europe in the short or medium term, and what makes it workable in practice?
Okay, yes, I'm not sure about midterm because now we are in the process of building the decortication line in Czech Republic and just getting the investment. It's like 3 years. Then like building, it's like 2 years. Then, so it's a long process. But I believe the value chain, which is nowadays the most feasible, it's collaboration between farmers, processing, and some building companies, because the building has the biggest potential scale, I believe, for hemp as a biomaterial. And there is also high demand for low carbon impact on construction industry, and also the using the biomaterials for the healthier homes. So I can imagine to farmers being in the value chain where they produce for decortication line or some processing line, and there is the processor also doing some final products or collaborating and having extension from their processing line to next door prefabrication of like building panels or doing like insulation mats, because it can also well balance the fiber and the chive output, but still you are as a company in one sector, and you can focus on construction industries. So this, I believe, it's the most valuable product because there you can also sell locally. And ideally, if this all can be like the cooperative where everybody works together, right? But the vertical integration, it's kind of very challenging, as I mentioned before. So I believe the better will be like the collaborative partners, maybe some kind of cluster model, as the clusters are research, business, and also academy. So maybe there can be, because for hemp use usually needs some R&D projects to be able to find the right model for you to get some advantage. So yeah, is it enough to answer your question like that?
Yes, it is enough. It is enough. Thank you very much. And I would like to also ask you, based on your experience, what are the main obstacles currently preventing wider uptake of hemp-based materials in the construction sector? But if you would like to broaden it to other sectors, please.
Like why the other sectors doesn't use the biomaterials from hemp? Or what their limits? Well, I think not always they already know about hemp. We all know about hemp because we are here. But the construction sector, they didn't know much about hemp, even they are focusing on sustainability, like the big companies, That's my own experience. So I think there's still a lot of like need to be doing like spreading the information. I think it will really help if there will be more studies comparing the conventional material with the bio-based materials, not only hemp, but generally, but not only on the price, but on the life cycle assessment, on the health impact of particular domes, and like the broader impact. Because if you have insulation, what you have to replace after 15 years, and then you have like hemp, what you can replace much longer, so then the price, because it's not really enough to compare. Yeah, so I believe the important it's the specification, and important it's the comparison with the conventional material, and important it's to collaboration of maybe like research centers to study those biomaterials when they study the regular ones, to be able to well present them to the industries. And also from my actual experience, I think it's important to also, because the construction sector is big, there are like the projectants, there are the building companies, there are the people they want to build themselves. But I think everything starts with the people who do projects for the houses, and they don't usually have the experience with the hemp. Even they would like to explore the new materials. So I think the most important education is going to the people who have to do project for the houses. Because if they put the hemp as a material to the hemp building, or to the building of the particular house, then it's clear there will be like new one. But if they don't put it there, it's difficult to build more houses with hemp.
Thank you, Hannah. And from another point of view, from the farmer's point of view, what is the minimum conditions that need to be in place so hemp to become a reliable option within crop rotation?
Okay, so I will start with the hemp as a crop for production of the seeds, because there are different varieties, and varieties which can produce seeds, and they are like 1.5 meter tall. They can be harvested by regular combine. So there are no the limits for the farmers where like finding the right varieties, or finding the right machinery, because they have a crop which is small, and they can harvest with regular combine for wheat, and then they can use the regular drying for the seeds what they have, because the hemp seeds need to be dried immediately after harvest. And then cleaning, they can again use the regular cleaning machines. Yeah, so for hemp seed cultivation, I don't see any really limits there, for maybe just the knowledge, because there is a lot of demand in the Europe. So I believe they would be able to find even the offtake. If not, they can connect with the local association. They will help them, which are mostly in every country in Europe, some hemp cluster association working on that. And but for the dual crop or stem cultivation, it's much more difficult. The condition need to be that like not from you usually like 150 kilometers. It's some company which will offtake the hemp bale what you produce. You need to manage before you start to growing and baling it. If they take which kind of bales they take, if square or round, and what is the conditions, and basically like make a contract with them. And then it's good for you to grow, because you have the offtake partner. But if you don't have offtake partner, it's like very difficult to grow straw basically. So I think then you have the only option to grow for seeds, or you can also initiate some project where you will maybe build the decortication together with other farmers or other potential investors, as we do in Czech Republic right now. but it's a long way and difficult way. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
You're
Jacobus, should I hand the floor back to you? Or we have
Well,
time.
actually, there's another question for Hannah in the chat. What about the density of hemp straws after seed harvesting? Do you use it for biocomposites or further downstream applications?
We don't, because right now in Czech Republic, if the farmers grow hemp straw, there is no offtake for seeds. There is no offtake for straw. So even if they will bale it, they have like no place to sell it. So we recommend them to use it as a biofertilizer. So they apply on the straw on the field, the digestate from the biogas power stations, and turning it back to the soil, and they at least make some boost for their soils with the straw and the digestate from the biogas. But if we have in the future the processing line, we could potentially use it, but the question is of the efficiency also of our offtake partners, if the quality will be still sufficient to use it for us as a processing company, because then we have contracts with the off-takers. They demand particular quality, which is usually focused on the big straw from varieties which are bred and grown and harvested for the straw, which these ones are not. So there can be also a lot of weeds because the hemp it's smaller, so the weed competition it's harder for hemp. Which is not really ideal for straw processing at all. So yeah, so there are some challenges. I can imagine we can use it, but with some limits, and also probably the price will be not that same like for the straw grown, particularly for the production of straw.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Vita Maria, so I don't know which one of the four names is the normal one, but is it okay?
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry for my name, but my parents decided for me.
Nothing to be sure about, but I'm not sure which one is I should
Okay,
pronounce.
my nickname is Titi, so no one of them. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you all for your very, very nice presentation and interesting presentation. Thank you.
Final word from my side, just as a reminder, I will not take you more of your time. You can join. You can see the information that we have created under the project. We have created a knowledge platform where you can find the information we collected from operational groups, an assessment tool that deals with the cost effectiveness analysis of the BBTs, the report of the current regional dynamics in the regions covered by the project, and the educational training material that we are already, some of it is already developed and some is under the way. And remind you that this is not the end of the series of these cross-fertilization meetings. The next one is coming in 2 weeks, focusing on sheep wool processing. So you know the details how you can register for those events if you are interested. In the meantime, you can find what happened in the previous meeting on focusing on nutrients recovery through our website. There is a dedicated page where the presentations and the recording are available. So from my side, I don't have anything else to add. I only would like to thank you all for your commitment and interest in our discussions. I hope it's worth the 1.5 hours of your time. And we'll keep on via email if you want. Any questions you have, you can direct it to me or to the speakers. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.